NFL draft has officially concluded. As with every draft, there were some players that were drafted way too late and some players that were drafted way too early. In this video, I'm going to be discussing what I think are the 5 biggest steals and 5 biggest reaches of the 2025 NFL draft. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Subscribe takes just a second and it really helps me out. Thank you, and let's get started. Steal: Giants take running back Cam Skattebo 105th overall. This was one of my favorite picks of the draft. Skattebo was my RB3 and I thought for sure he was going to get selected on day 2. So the fact that the Giants were able to get him at the top of the 4th round is insane. He'll be paired up with Tyrone Tracy and I think that can be a really good running back room. Skattebo brings energy, toughness, and grit that you just don't see out of most running backs. He's not the fastest guy, not close, but he fights for every yard and is a nightmare to bring down. He was second in the NCAA in missed tackles forced with 103. He also has fantastic vision, I think some of the best in this class. While Tracy is the speedier scat back, Skattebo can be the tough power back, and those two complement each other very well. But we can't forget about Skattebo's receiving ability, because yeah, he can do that too, and he's great at it. He was second in receiving yards with 543 on 44 receptions. I think Brian Daboll is going to come up with a lot of creative ways to use both Skattebo and Tracy on the field. And to be honest, I think the Giants' rushing attack could be very dangerous next season. I absolutely love this pick. Reach: Lions take wide receiver Isaac TeSlaa 70th overall. I really didn't like taking TeSlaa at 70th overall in the first place, but trading up for him is what really got me. The Lions gave up pick 102 and both of their 2026 third round picks in exchange for pick 70 and 2 6th round picks. Trading 3 third round picks is a lot for any player, let alone TeSlaa. Look, I trust Brad Holmes, but I just don't see it here. First of all, TeSlaa was primarily a slot receiver at Arkansas, and the Lions already have the best slot receiver in the league in Amon-Ra St. Brown. My guess is the Lions want to move TeSlaa to the outside to be their X receiver, and while his 6'4", 217-pound build is great, I have some problems with TeSlaa on the outside. First of all, he doesn't have much experience outside, though coaching can help with that. But because of all his time in the slot, he didn't see much press coverage. That could be a problem, especially early on. He also has shorter arms, just 31 inches. An X receiver needs a large catch radius to be able to win those 50-50 balls, and TeSlaa just doesn't have the arm length for that. 31-inch arms is fine for a slot guy, but not for an X. Also, if they did want an X, there were better players available, at least in my opinion. I thought Pat Bryant, although slower, would be much better in this role, and I think Alec Ayomanor could have been good here also. Look, I don't hate TeSlaa, he's got some nice traits, but the Lions traded 3 third round picks for a player that I think will either be a backup slot receiver or a mediocre to bad X receiver. I just didn't like it. Steal: Falcons take safety Xavier Watts 96 overall. This was an awesome pick. The Falcons traded up with the Eagles, sending pick 101 and a 5th round pick in exchange for pick 96. I thought Watts should have been a 2nd round pick. He is really that good. He isn't very athletic, which is why he fell, but for what he lacks in athleticism, he more than makes up for that with pretty much everything else. He just knows how to play safety. He gets the position. He is so smart, so instinctive. He always knows where to be and when. He's some of the best ball skills out of any safety you'll ever see. I think he's got near Travis Hunter level ball skills. It's that good. He had 13 interceptions and 7 pass breakups over his last 2 seasons. In 2023, he allowed just a 37.8 passer rating when targeted, and in 2024, that dropped down to 30.1. And he doesn't just use cheap tricks to win. He's only been penalized 1 time in his entire collegiate career. In man coverage, he has the ability to mirror receiver's route, and in zone coverage, he has great awareness and can jump on a pass at any time. I think Watts is so good, and he has the highest floor out of any safety in this draft class. And to be honest, I'm not that worried about the real lack of athleticism. There are safeties in the NFL that are great despite not being the fastest. Look no further than Xavier McKinney, whose 4.63 40-yard dash was even slower than Watts' 4.56. But just like Watts, McKinney has great instincts and ball production. I think Watts has the ability to be a Xavier McKinney level safety in the league, and to get that with the 96 overall pick is absolutely amazing value. This is the definition of a draft steal. Reach: Broncos take running back RJ Harvey 60th overall. I get taking a running back, but Harvey wasn't the one I would have gone with. I just think there were better backs available. Caleb Johnson, Cam Skattebo, and Devin Neal were all running back prospects I thought were much better than Harvey. I just didn't see him as a 2nd round prospect. I saw him more as a 4th round guy. Harvey is very athletic. He ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, but he's also smaller, just 5'8", 205 pounds. He also only had 3.88 yards after contact per attempt, which isn't great, and I think his size played a part in that. that. He has good vision at times, but it's a bit inconsistent, and sometimes he'll bounce runs outside when he doesn't need to. He's an alright receiving back, but he's not a good pass blocker. He actually had the second worst PFF pass blocking grade in the NCAA, just 21.8. I can kind of see why Sean Payton likes him. He's a shifty and fun player, but overall, I just think he was not worth a second round pick, and there were better backs available. Steal, Titans take wide receiver Alec Ayomanor, 136 overall. I wasn't as high on Ayomanor as some other people, but even I was surprised when he fell to the end of the 4th round. Ayomanor is a really talented receiver who has a lot of appealing traits. He's 6'2", 206 pounds, around a 4.47 40-yard dash. He's got a large catch radius and is a really good route runner. His hands after the catch ability are lacking a bit, but he's still really good. I think if he can develop his contested catch ability a bit more, he could be a really good X receiver for the Titans. I honestly think there's a really good chance that by the end of the season, he's the Titans wide receiver 2 behind Calvin Ridley. Giving Cam Ward a guy like Ayomanor is going to help tremendously, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ayomanor has like 800 or more yards his rookie season. I thought he was better than a lot of the receivers taken before him, like Isaac Tesla, Chimere Dike, and Ty Felton. Overall, this was a great pick for the Titans, and I think we'll be looking back on this and wondering how he even fell to pick 136 in the first place. Reach, Saints take safety Jonas Sanker, 93rd overall. This pick really confused me. I get taking a safety, but this was way too early for Jonas Sanker. I saw him as a day 3 prospect and not someone you take over Xavier Watts. That was my big issue with this pick. Taking a day 3 prospect over Xavier Watts, who I thought was a second round talent, doesn't make sense to me. Sanker does possess some nice athletic traits. He ran a 4.48 40-yard dash and has 32.25 inch arms, but I just don't think he was all that good, at least not good enough to be a day 2 pick. He's not a great run defender. He missed 13% of his tackles, and his pursuit angles just aren't good. He also can sometimes get caught on blocks. Against play action, he can often get caught staring in the backfield, leaving space behind him. He's got some nice moments in coverage, but overall, I just don't think he's ready to be a starter in the NFL yet. I kind of understand why they went with the more athletic safety in Sanker rather than the more NFL-ready safety in Watts, but I just think Watts was a far superior prospect, and this was a reach. Steal, Jaguars take offensive guard Wyatt Milum, 89th overall. How Milum fell this far is beyond me, and how other guards like Dylan Fairchild were taken over Milum is beyond me squared. This is an absolute steal. Milum played left tackle in college, but he will likely move inside to guard due to his shorter arms. But Milum is a super high floor technical blocker. He is exceptional in pass protection, leading the entire NCAA in pass blocking grade, and allowed just 6 pressures on 356 pass blocking snaps. He's got powerful hands and is great at winning early and often. He is super smart and can process stunts quickly, and if he doesn't dominate you right away, he's got a really good anchor to hold up in pass protection. He's also a good run blocker, though sometimes he can dip his head and miss. I think the reason that he fell this far is because he doesn't really have any desirable traits. He ran a 5.27 40 at 313 pounds, and his arms are just 32 inches, which is shorter for an O-lineman. I don't think he'll be great in a wide zone run scheme, but that's what makes him fit so well with Jacksonville, because they are going to be a gap-heavy team. They ran much more gap than zone last season, and Liam Cohen and the Bucks were also gap heavy. He fits great in Jacksonville. I love this pick, and I think that Milum is going to be a really good guard in the NFL. Reach, Giants take quarterback Jackson Dart, 25th overall. Are we going to look back on this in 5 years and say, wow, Jackson Dart was really worth the 25th overall pick? Probably not. I'm not blaming them for taking Dart over Shedeur, and to be honest, with the way Shedeur fell and the reports that have come out about his interviews and attitude, I agree with taking Dart over him, but 25th overall was just too early, especially trading up for him. I wholeheartedly think Dart would have been there at 34. I've got some comments saying, oh, they only traded up because the Rams are going to take him and that's why they traded back when Dart was picked, but I disagree with this claim. I don't think the Rams were ever planning on taking Dart. There have been reports that the Rams were not interested in Dart at all. Unless someone like Colson Loveland fell to the Rams, I think they always intended to trade back. They know this quarterback class kind of stinks, and they know Matt Stafford is not going to be here much longer. That's why they traded back to get extra picks so next year they can trade up for a quarterback in what will likely be a much better QB class. That's what I believe the Rams' plan was, and that's why I believe Dart would have been there at 34, and the Giants didn't need to trade a second-round pick and 2 third-round picks to go get him. Now, for what it's worth, this isn't my least favorite pick ever. I know I'm kind of making it seem like it is, but it's not. I like Dart. He was my QB3. He's got a lot of nice things about him. Accuracy, mobility, deep ball, it's all great. But at the end of the day, I just don't think Dart was worth this pick. Plain and simple. Steal, Saints take running back Devin Neal 184th overall. As much as I didn't like the Saints taking Jonas Sanker, they more than made up for it by taking Devin Neal here. This might just be my favorite pick in the entire draft, at least value-wise. This was awesome. I really like Devin Neal. I had him as my RB7, and I thought he should have gone way earlier than the 6th round, and he should not have been the 17th running back off the board. I understand that he isn't very athletic compared to the rest of the backs in this class. He's 5'11", 215 pounds, or around a 4.58 40-yard dash. But when you have the combination of vision and contact balance that Neal has, athletic ability can go screw itself. Neal has some of, if not the best vision in this entire class. His patience and ability to hit the correct hole is elite, and more often than not makes up for his lack of top end speed. He's also tough to bring down. His contact balance is really good, and he had 47 missed tackles forced. Also, Alvin Kamara is getting up there in age, and to be honest, Devin Neal has a lot of Alvin Kamara in him. Both of them were 215 pounds, with Kamara being just an inch shorter than Devin Neal. Both of them ran in the high 4.5s, and both have excellent vision and contact balance. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Neal is Kamara's replacement in a couple years. Reach, Jaguars take safety Caleb Branshaw 88th overall. The Jags had two back-to-back picks at 88 and 89. I love their 89th pick. That was Wyatt Milam, who I just praised, but I didn't like their 88th pick, Caleb Branshaw. Not only was Xavier Watts right there on the board, or even Jonas Sanker for that matter, but Branshaw is a guy that is entirely developmental. I'm all for betting on traits, but you don't take a player that is purely traits and no actual skill. I just don't think Caleb Branshaw is that good of a football player. I don't. But I will acknowledge the athleticism, and that's why he went this high. At 5'11", 197 pounds, he ran a 4.33 40-yard dash and scored a 9.96 out of 10 on the RAS score. He is very athletic, but again, he's not a good football player. In 2024, he allowed a 94.1 passer rating when targeted and had virtually no ball production, just one pass breakup and 0 interceptions. He's actually only had 1 interception of 4 pass breakups in his entire 4-year collegiate career. His coverage ability overall is pretty lacking. He's got poor footwork and really struggled to cover shifty route runners in man coverage. He also has shorter arms, just 30 3/4 inches. He also had 4 penalties in 2024, the most in his career. The biggest concern with him though is that he wasn't playing well despite not having really tough competition. He played 3 years at Troy and then last year at Tulane. That's not exactly Big Ten competition right there. For example, he allowed 98 yards, a touchdown, and a near perfect passer rating to North Texas, an AAC team that went 6-7 overall and 3-5 in their conference. Look, I understand betting on the traits, but when you have players like Branshaw, that's something you do on day 3, because there is a really good chance that Branshaw doesn't work out at all, and the Jaguars wasted this 3rd round pick, especially when Xavier Watts was available. But that's it. Those are the 5 biggest steals and 5 biggest reaches of the 2025 NFL Draft. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya!